Okay, everybody, here we are. Final week of the class, Module 7, your last update video for fall of 23 in our current topics in healthcare administration class. Okay, so getting a lot of questions, or a few questions, about the big assignment, the CAT assignment. So we're going to talk about that. Also, we're just going to talk about winding up the course. Let's do that first. Let's talk about finishing the course and my last messages to you about that. Then I'll go into the discussing the assignment, the big summative assignment. Okay, so as of this morning, I'm shooting the video. All the grading for Module 6 is not done because I wanted to get this video out this morning, but it should be done by the end of the day. So there is that. Any of the extra credit that's in this course is due by the end of this week. Sunday at midnight, that is the last day of the course. So if you need the extra credit, it's there for you. We'll have 3 opportunities for extra credit. Just make sure you get it in Sunday at midnight, because that's when the course is done. This week, all right, so this week, kind of a lot. That's why I was hoping you guys were working a little bit on your CATs last week. We do have a one-pager on apply and a one-pager on assess, so you have those 2 to do. Again, you guys are doing great on those. Some of the best, I will say, honestly, I've seen the best ever one-pagers in running this class, and I've run this class for about 3 years. So great job on those. Some of you guys are really taking like the artistic, organizational approach to these, which makes it so much more visually impactful in looking at these very quickly in one page and kind of summarizing that particular step. So great job on that. All right, so this week we got the 2 one-pagers, and then we have a final extra credit in there. Okay, so that's 3 extra credit opportunities you guys have to do. If you want to, if you need the points. Many of you probably don't need the points. Okay, but if you maybe had a couple one-pagers that were a little shaky, maybe you got some lower points on it, you could knock one of these out and probably capture all the points that you need for the class. Any other late assignments in the class? I do take them. Please get them in by Sunday at midnight. Okay, everything has to be in Sunday at midnight. Okay. All right, so again, we're talking about how to wind up this course. All right, so get your extra credit in, get your late assignments in, and we got our standard assignments this week. We got 2 one-pagers, and we've got the critically appraised topic. All right, now, we're done talking about everything to finish up this course. Just remember, everything ends Sunday at midnight. That's when the course ends. Now let's talk about the CAT, the critically appraised topic. Introduced last week. So let's go up to Module 6. Hopefully you guys worked a little bit on it last week. I know some of you did because you're emailing me or texting me. So we had some questions on it. I provide you this template. I recommend that you use the template. I think it's helpful. But you can do something different if you want. I would say for 99% of you, I would probably just use the template provided. Great job on, from what I've seen so far, on those of you that have texted me or emailed, on context and then your focus question. And we'll talk a little bit more about those in just a second. But basically what you're doing is you're just assembling you're assembling studies, research in the areas that apply towards your problem. And you're kind of just reading these studies over and seeing, kind of the pluses and minuses of them and how they will apply to your particular focus question. So it's not too terribly difficult. You can go into you're going to be doing the library. So you're going to be on our online library or Google Scholar, and you're going to be looking up these sources. Now, I will say, as far as the types of sources, I'm going to use the word gray literature. We sometimes say the word gray literature. So pure scientific literature is peer-reviewed literature, pretty stringent. I have found that it's sometimes difficult to find that pure literature that applies to my particular focus question. It's there, but sometimes you really have to work for it, and you may not find as much as you need. Or it may be so from left field, it may not even be applicable. So I'm going to also allow what I'll call professional literature. Still high quality, but it may be not to the standards of like peer reviewed. And often in the business world, there's not a, that's kind of, in the hard sciences, yeah, that's all they deal with is peer reviewed sources, peer reviewed process to get published. In the business world, I find, even though we have that, there's a lot more in the gray area. So kind of look for those high quality, maybe editorial reviewed versus peer reviewed. I'll allow that. So we'll kind of fuzz that up a little bit so you can go in the gray area. You don't want to go with something, on BuzzFeed. Don't go with that. But if it's from a peer respected or a recognized, let's say a recognized publication within that discipline, then I think that's, something that you may want to consider, even though it's not fully peer reviewed. All right. So that gives you a little bit more space to find some stuff, in there. All right. So, and you're just basically reading it and you're filling out these boxes as best as possible. You may have something where they don't talk about, the design or the sample size. That would be a big red flag for me. But, so if you get something that you can't find, you could say, was not in there, but that's definitely a red flag. And you're filling all these boxes out as you read it. You're reading the abstract, you're reading that article, main findings, the limitations. Often the author will self-identify the limitations of their study. How easy is that? You just go in there and you summarize what they've said themselves. The tricky part is this confidence evaluation. This is you applying what you think. Is this an A+ paper or is it a D-, paper? We did have a nice little app called the Cat Manager, but for some reason, it's no longer available in this region. I've reached out to the folks at the organization, but I don't know. If it's probably, for them to read that, if they even do, and then for it to be whatever happened in this region while it's been pulled from the App Store. I guess that's a problem. But it was nice because what this did was it asked me a series of 6 questions. I think it was 6. 6 questions about the study. And then it gave me a letter grade, whether it was good or bad. It gave me a letter grade after the process. So it was pretty easy for students to go through that. You can still do that. So even though you don't have the handy dandy app, you can do that. So the algorithm that it basically followed is on page 167. Okay. Well, all right. It basically followed this algorithm, and then it applied kind of a rubric. If it had one weakness, no downgrade. If it had 2 weaknesses, it downgraded it 1. From an A+, maybe to a to a B+. If it had 3 weaknesses, down 2 levels, 4 weaknesses, downgraded, 2 levels. So basically, what I would recommend that you do is not to get too much into the weeds on this. You can make your own rubric if you wish on how to do that. But I would use this flowchart, okay? Basically the questions. There's like a series of questions in here. And, if you don't like the answers for those questions, start deducting, off of the perfect grade. This is where it's fun. You get to be the grader of the paper. You can look at it and go, boy, that was a really weak study. you know, it really aligned to what, well, maybe it aligns great with your focus question, but, you know, maybe the sample size was 20, you know, or something that you think is just too small. You've read the chapter on the scientific evidence, so you kind of have a ballpark, and intuitively you should know. Do you have a sample size of 100? Okay, maybe pretty good. If I have a sample size of 7, maybe not so good. So you can kind of downgrade that. You know, and I would say make up your own system, whatever that is. Maybe it's 10% off for each of these negatives that you find in there. And if you get, you know, if you get more than 4 big negatives, that takes it right down to a 60%, and you're down to a D. So again, I'd make up your own rubric. The thing that you want to do is be consistent, though. You want to apply that consistency throughout each one as you kind of grade each one. So, you know, maybe you don't ask all, let's see, how many questions are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, maybe you don't ask all 7 questions here about the study. Maybe you ask 5. I don't know. Pick ones that are the most valuable for you, and then, but make sure you're consistent in applying that. Okay, so there's, again, no like pure science to this particular part, but you do want to be able to sort of apply it equally across the board. Okay, so there's that. That's page 167. The other thing I want to draw your attention to is towards the back of the book on page 322, they go through the entire CAP process from all of the steps that are in here. And even better, and I should have marked this before I talked to you guys, but I just thought of this. I know it's in here somewhere. Give me a second here. Let me pause the video. I know it's in here. There's a sample in here. Hold on one moment. Okay, I found it. Nice sample, table 16.2. And that starts on right after page 329. It's kind of a nice sample of that. Again, the grading system they use, I would use a traditional letter grade system, A, B, C. And, you know, pluses and minuses. If you feel necessary to have pluses and minuses in there, that's fine. I don't know. If it was probably me, pluses and minuses are too much, because then you got A plus, A minus, A. You got three variations of A. I'd probably just do solid letter grades. You know, that A, B, C, D. You know, because that's I think close enough when I'm looking at you know, any kind of choices there. The other thing, again, just be consistent. The other question that I had was about the focus question. And again, there's great examples here about the focus question. So the context is, you know, your story, whatever it is. You know, the story of you know, an outpatient clinic is suffering from, I don't know, low patient satisfaction scores. The outpatient clinic primarily serves, you know, I don't know, a geriatric population or something. You know, whatever the story is about where the problem is. And the problem is the focus question. And it's really easy to say, you know, here's the problem, but it's super easy to turn it into a focus question. Again, go on page 324, and pretty much all you have to do is write what is known in the scientific literature about blank, 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 blank. Whatever your problem is, just do that. What is known in the scientific literature? And in this case, I'd probably alter it a bit. What is known in the scientific and professional literature about blank, blank, blank. Whatever your particular, you know, issue is. And so far, from the folks that have reached out to me, some really cool stuff that they're doing. Problems they have at work right now. So I think that's great. But I would add that professional literature category, which brings you more into the gray area of literature, but definitely avoid the glitzy, stuff that is more magazine oriented, but stick to those, I guess, recognized professional publications, even though they might not be fully peer reviewed, but maybe editorially reviewed. All right, so there we go. I think we got everything covered on this context focus question, and we talked about this confidence evaluation and making up your own letter grade system using that chapter 6, that flow chart. Use that as inspiration to grade those, those articles that you find out there. All right, now lastly, let's jump back out to the modules. And let's see here. So again, make sure you have everything due by this week. Go back to critically appraised topic. Oh, and let me just remove my picture off together here. Basically, use the template and make sure you have 8 sources. Pretty easy, guys. Should maybe take 2 to 3 hours. I'm thinking, you find your sources at the library or Google Scholar, maybe on the internet, but be careful because now you're a little bit getting into some more of the BuzzFeed type stuff out there. Another way, believe it or not, I think Wikipedia is fantastic. It's always a great place to start. And what I love about Wikipedia is if I have a particular issue that sort of relates or research, I'll scan down to see what their sources are. I kind of always look at whatever I'm looking at, I look at what their sources were to help me feed more sources. So you may find 1 or 2 great articles and then just look at their references and then go, oh, here's 20 more that I can use. And you could be, done in a matter much quicker rather than kind of researching it yourself. Or heck, sometimes there's even literature reviews done out there on a particular topic. And if someone's already written a literature review and had that published, and they reviewed 5, 10, 15 different sources of articles already, there you go. You can have a lot of it already pre-synthesized for you. And that's not even getting into using AI. I'll leave AI alone right now, but that would make very quick work of all of this as well. Okay, so that is pretty much it. If you have any questions this week, don't hesitate to reach out and text me. My phone number is up there somewhere. Scroll up, or it should be right up there. Especially this week because we don't have a lot of time. We've only got this week. And remember, everything is due by Sunday at midnight. All right. So you guys have been a fantastic group. I mean, again, the best one-pagers I've ever seen. And consistently, so many of you are doing excellent jobs on these one-pagers. It was a breeze to grade because you guys, after week 2, module 2, I really didn't need to give you any feedback because you already had the template and we're doing such a great job on it, where in other classes it's been a struggle to have them pull and tease out the information they need to kind of create decent one-pagers. So great job there. Again, if anything comes out, don't hesitate to reach out. Everybody have a fantastic week. You've been a fantastic group. And best of luck in your next class. I think we have a few days off in between classes, so sometimes to recharge the batteries. But again, great job this week. I know all of you will finish strong. All right, everybody have a great week. Thanks.